Hello everyone and welcome to Holiday Lighting and Creations. I'm Jordan and today I will be showing you how to wrap these trees to represent the United States of America flag. Let's get into it. Here is all the product we will need to complete this project. The first thing we're going to do before we put any lights in any of these trees is we're going to run a continuous cord, and that's where you get a spool of wire and you run it from one end to the other, and then wherever your tree is you will put a plug. So let's do that right now. For our continuous cord you will need wire cutters, your SPT1 wire, and I have a huge roll right here because I use a lot of it on various projects, but you can find it in multiple different sizes, and you'll need plugs. And I'm using one male plug so the power can get initiated, and a bunch of female plugs. It just depends however many trees you have. Each tree takes one female plug. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wire and our wire cutters, and there's a line down the middle. We're just going to snip that a little bit like that, and so you can spread them apart. And we're going to take our male connection, and you'll see there's two prongs. One of them is bigger than the other. This prong right here is bigger, so when I turn it over, there's a tooth on the right side for the bigger prong, and on your wire there's a ribbed side. So we want the ribbed side to go into the tooth with the bigger prong. So I'm gonna put it in like this, fold it down, and then take our slider and slide it right over the top like that. Now that we have our male plug attached, we're going to add our female plug on the cord, and you'll notice there is a tab right here on the female cord, and if this plug is going on the wire and then there's going to be wire after it, you're going to want to take the tab off like that, and then we're going to look at the plug and say, okay, this hole is larger than this one, and you're going to look at the bigger hole, flip it over and say, okay, the tooth on this one is on the left side, so we want our ribbed side of the wire to be on the left side like this. And you take your slider and you're just going to put it right over it like this. And now when you plug your male plug in, and you'll have power at your female plug. And for this example, I'm just showing you that we're only putting one female plug on, but for the project I'm doing here and showing you, we're going to have multiple plugs at all the different trees. But to show you, if you want to end your cord, you're going to take your wire cutters, make sure it is not plugged in, and you're going to snip it. And then you're going to take your wire cutters and cut down the middle like this a little bit. And then you're going to take a female plug, but you do not want to cut the tab off. You want to leave the tab on there because this is the end of the line. So we're going to look for the larger hole, and we're going to flip it over and say, okay, the tab is on the right side, so it's down here. You have to pay attention or you could possibly mess up. So you want your rib side on the right side. You're going to slide the plug in like that, and then put your slider in, and then your line is complete. Now that we've laid out our continuous cord, it's now time to wrap our trees. And since we want this group of trees to look like the American flag, I decided to use these trees over here as our red, white with the blue and the stars, and these with just the red and white for the stripes. And when you're wrapping trees, please note that this tree over here is bigger than that tree over there, and we want our stripes to be almost continuous straight across. So what you might have to do is put the lights on this tree closer together and wider over here. So just when you're wrapping the trees, just kind of check back and forth after you've done one to make sure your lights are somewhat in a continuous straight line. To get started, we're now on the back of the tree, and we're going to put our strand around, and our plug is back here, and we're going to want to tie a knot just to kind of hold the lights in place so nothing becomes loose. So we're going to tie a simple knot like that, and then we're going to plug it in. The lights work, and now we're going to start wrapping the tree. And I'm putting my strands closer together than I usually do because I have a strand of 70 count lights, and I want a lot of stripes on each tree, and I don't want the stripes to be very large, so I'm putting them close together, but you can do whatever you would like. And you can even buy smaller strands wherever you get your lights if you want. And now that we have finished our red strand, we're going to take our white strand, and what I like to do is crisscross the lights like this, go under, plug them in, and then pull tight so the lights don't come apart at any time. And then continue your wrapping around the tree. And we're just going to continue this all the way up until we have our red, white pattern, and then we're going to start on our blue. Now that we finished our red, white pattern with our blue over here, we're going to move on to these trees over here, and we are only going to do our red, white pattern. We're not going to add any blue. And then once we get finished with that, we're going to come back to this side where our blue lights are, and we're going to add the C7 bulbs to create our stars. I notice there's a split right here, so I want my clear strand to end right where the split starts. So when we put our red strands on, we can have one red going this way and then one red going this way. It's two different red strands, and you want them both to be equally straight next to each other so the lines look perfect, just like they would on a flag. My strands actually came out perfect like I wanted them to, so I can start a red on this limb and that limb. Now we are going to add our stars, and to do that we're using C7 lights, and with the plug we can't plug them into our mini lights, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to run another cord and build one. So we're just going to add another plug down on our continuous cord, and then we're going to add our male. But before you add the female, you might want to weave it in the lights because it's easier and the cord will stay. Once you finish wrapping all of your trees, it's time to move on to the final step, which is creating the star effect on the blue area. And for this, I'm using C7 bulbs and C7 spool wire. You don't need this much, but for example, each blue section you see on the project here I'm using about 15 feet of this wire, and the bulbs are spaced 6 inches apart, so it's about 30 bulbs that I'm using. And if you use this method, it's the same way to create the extension cords like we did all the way around the trees. You just add the plugs on the ends and then you cut it wherever you want to cut it to end the wire. And that's why I had to run an extension cord up in the tree, because the plugs on this are too big to fit in the ends of the mini lights. But if you do go to the store or find another set online, they'll probably sell them for about 25 bulbs in each strand. Those might plug into the back of the mini lights. It just depends, but I prefer C7s because they're not as big as C9s, and C9s might take away from the project. And I think 6 inches apart is the perfect distance to create the star effect. We're going to take our C7 lights and we're going to plug them in for our stars, and then we're just going to wrap them all the way around a pretty good distance apart. It really depends how big your strand is, but you don't want a ton of C7s because then it'll take away from the blue, but you do want it to end right where your blue lights end. It took a few tries, but we got it, and the stars run all the way through the blue. As you can see, this is our final product, and I think it turned out great, and it does look like the American flag, and you can use it for all occasions. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe down below, hit that like button, and turn the notification bell on so you can see all of our upcoming creations.